Hey guys, Suffolk Camper here. Thank you for joining me. Just want to do a quick video on this very nice deactivated Lee Enfield rifle. It's an interwar SMLE Enfield rifle, or what they would say SMLE for short. And I just wanted to just do a quick video and walk around of the gun. So if anyone's thinking about buying a deactivated Lee Enfield, that they can get an idea of what they will get and what they're like basically, what they're like with current UK deactivation specifications. Now, you can buy these as working live firearms here in the UK if you have the correct license, the correct firearm certificate and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people also like to buy them deactivated, so they can just basically have them as a wall hanger and just a piece of historical interest, or an interesting talking point when you have guests around, stuff like that. So you can legally own them as live guns here in the UK, but a lot of people don't want the hassle of going through all the license process, so they'll buy one deactivated so they can hang it on the wall and just have something that's nice to own and keep, and have something that looks nice and all that kind of stuff. Now, but I'm not by any means an expert on these guns, because there's so many different variations with all kinds of different stamps and serial numbers that all mean different things, and it gets a bit confusing after a while. There's a lot to them, and I can barely scratch the surface, so I'm not an expert. So if I say something wrong, please feel free to correct me. But just to give before I do a walk around of the gun and show you, show you it up closer. Just some basic specifications of these guns. Hang on one moment. So SMLE stands for Short Magazine Lee Enfield, and they were the standard British and Commonwealth infantry rifle of World War One and World War Two. The cartridge, when it was live, would have been, well, the cartridge of these guns is .303 British, or 7.7 by 56 millimeter. The action is manually operated rotating bolt action. The feed system is a 10-round detachable box magazine loaded via 5-round charger clips. The muzzle velocity of these guns is around 2,440 FTS. The effective range is around 550 yards, with a maximum range of around 3,000 yards when they're live, obviously. Overall length is 44.5 inches. Barrel length is 25.2 inches or 64 centimeters. The weight of these guns is about 8.8 pounds or 4 kilograms with an empty magazine. The rifling is 5 grooves, left-hand twist, one turn in 10 inches. And generally the sights are sliding ramp tangent rear sights and fixed post blade front sight. So that's the kind of basic specifications of these guns. And as mentioned, and in the title, this is an interwar Enfield rifle. These were made somewhere between the 1920s and 1930s. And I'm just going to give you a closer look of the gun and some of the markings of it, and what a current EU specification deactivated rifle is like to own, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to pick the camera up and I'll give you a bit of a closer look at the gun. Alright, I'm back in a sec. Okay, so if we start at the rear of the rifle, these stocks were typically made of walnut, So I'm guessing this is walnut, although I'm not 100%. But typically these were walnut stocks. Here you have your typical brass butt plate with like a little opening compartment in the back here. Here you have a brass serial number plate. I can't remember what these are actually called. There is a proper name for them. And obviously you have your strap swivels for your shoulder strap. Now on these interwar rifles, the collar here is simply stamped with BASC, which stands for British Small Arms Company. The military issue ones during the First and Second World War, they were stamped with the Royal Crown and the date of manufacture. But these interwar ones between the 1920s and 30s, they were simply stamped with BASC and were undated. As far as I understand. So that's, if you have an Enfield that's simply stamped BASC, you know it's an interwar one made between the 1920s and 1930s. The interwar ones were made, some were made for military use, and some were made for the commercial market and were owned privately. Here you have the magazine cut-off plate. This could enable the user to load one round at a time. Now here on the action, there's a Union of South Africa marking. If I can just get it to focus, you see that U shape with the arrow. That's the Union of South Africa marking. This shows that the gun has entered the South African military at some point many years ago. What it was actually used for by them is anyone's guess. It could just have been a training rifle, or it could have been used by a guard. But I think it's very interesting, as it shows this rifle has come a long way. It's been used, for many different things, which I think that's really interesting. The gun clearly tells a story. The stock is obviously well marked from age-related use and military use. Here you have the adjustable front sights. Now, I can't remember if these were in feet or in meters, but these guns can be accurate up to, they can have an effective range of up to 3,000 feet at an absolute maximum. And here obviously you have the front sight. Now I'm just going to put the camera down for a second and show you the action. Now, with these recent EU specification deactivations, you can work the bolt, but it's not connected to anything. So when you pull the trigger, it doesn't do anything. The trigger is just on the spring. There's no connection at all. So you can work the action, but that's it. It won't cock and fire anymore. That's just how they want them deactivated now, unfortunately. And it can't be field stripped, which is a shame. Here obviously you have the 10-round magazine, which is released by a spring lever in the trigger guard. And let's put the gun down. The gun did actually come with 10 inert rounds, so hang on 1 second. Sorry, it came with 5 inert bullets. As you can see, that's quite a hefty round. These were clearly designed purely for pure stopping power, and they can be loaded into the magazine. Like so. And then The magazine can be loaded into the gun. What's going on here? Oh, here we go. It can be loaded into the gun, but obviously it can't be chambered. And let's move the magazine cut-off plate back into position. Here, obviously, you have this. You would have had the safety. I don't know if these were two-stage triggers. I'm not sure. Here is the view of the front end. You can't see that it's blocked because they weld the barrel on the inside, but you can't see that with these guns, which is, I think it's quite nice, because I don't like it when you can see if they're visibly blocked. And despite its deactivated status, it's still a very nice gun to own. It's a really interesting piece, you know. It's in service all the way out in South Africa, so it can only be left to the imagination what this gun has been used for. It's kind of the mystery of not knowing, which is what I kind of like. It's just a generally all round really nice piece to own, and looks fantastic hanging on the wall. Here, there's been a repair to the stock. You can see where they've put a pin in. There's a crack going along here, but that kind of repair is common with guns of this age. It's extremely solid. There's nothing to worry about there. But it's only going to be hanging on my wall anyway. I'm just going to turn the camera back around. Back again. So yeah, if you're looking for an interesting gun, you know, a nice piece to add to your collection, or if you just want something nice to hang on the wall, and you've got a few quid to spare, I would recommend picking up one of these guns, deactivated. Yeah, they're just a pleasure to own. They're a genuine piece of history, and they look great hanging on the wall. They're great to play around with and admire and to handle. I think that's my GoPro camera doing funny things. But yeah, obviously you've got age-related marks here. But yeah, I was really happy with this purchase. I bought this one from DWSUK. They're a British deactivated gun retailer, and I think they sell these at a slightly more reasonable price than other deactivated gun retailers, in my opinion. Some places are more expensive than others. But if you want a deactivated SMLE rifle or the Enfield rifle, it's always worth checking out DWSUK. And you can get yourself a nice piece of history. A lot of people, like, you know, from America and other parts of the world, they say, like, you know, why do you buy a deactivated gun? What's the point in having a gun that doesn't work? You know, it's just a glorified paperweight, you know, and all these kind of comments. But at the end of the day, I didn't buy it for whether it worked or not. I bought it because I wanted something nice to look at and to own and to hang on the wall. And that's pretty much it, really. That's all I cared about. You know, and that's all I want. And unfortunately, here in the UK, our gun laws aren't quite as relaxed as in other parts of the world. So it's quite a lot. It's a lot trickier to get our hands on a working one without having to jump through a load of hoops. And people tend to forget that, you know, not everyone can just go to a shop and hand hand over a driver's license as ID and then walk out with a gun, unfortunately. It's not like that all over the world. We have very strict gun laws here in England. But again, as I've said, you can buy a working one. I just simply chose to buy this because I wanted something nice to hang on the wall and just something interesting to own, really. So if you're looking to add a nice deactivated gun to your collection, I can definitely recommend picking up a deactivated SMLE rifle. They're really fantastic to own. So as you can see, it looks rather nice hanging on the wall. Obviously I've got my stag antlers there, and that's why I have it, really. Just something to make the room just look that a little bit more interesting. I've got another piece over here. There's Rupert the Fox. Say hi, Rupert. He's a man of few words. Here I have an old English shotgun, hammer gun. I might do a separate video on all my other guns, but that also looks quite nice on the wall. Yeah, and that's kind of it, really. That's why I have them. I think they make a room, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, so that's it, really. I just wanted to show you that gun quickly, really. I hope you enjoyed the little video. If you're thinking about buying a deactivated Enfield rifle, I'm hoping that will gave you an idea of what you'll get for your money, and what to expect from the deactivation process and all that kind of stuff. And just gonna show it off, really, I guess. I will be back out camping again soon. I'm not sure where yet exactly. I'm still trying to think of spots where I can go camping and, you know, crack open a few beers and have a bit of fun. But I will be out camping again soon, and it would be nice if you could join me for that. But anyhow, that's enough for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Alright, thank you, bye bye.